And so what we've been covering is a lot of different stuff. So just I'll introduce myself to you all because I haven't met you yet, but you already know my name, obviously. Rita Lampe, and I'm a certified clinical Eden energy medicine practitioner. What that means is I've studied over 3 years. I'm in my 4th year to become an advanced practitioner. Founded in traditional Chinese medicine, but also incorporates therapeutic touch and is kind of like super broad, but also very, very deep work, working with 9 energy systems of the body. And the focus, overall focus, is to look at those systems. One, to see if they're in balance. If they're not, there's many, many ways to balance them. And 2, to see how they're working together and get them to be working more in harmony. When we look at the energetic body and energy systems, you know, it comes from the Eastern medicine world, obviously. So we have the Western medicine that we're all participating in this country, which has its place and does a lot of wonderful things for us. And we also have this Eastern medicine, and my philosophy in the Eden energy medicines, I think, is as well, is when we blend those two and we can actually, it's a much more holistic way of treating the human person, right? So we have the energies of our body that go through our body and surround our body, impact our physical health and mental health and emotional health and ultimately spiritual health. So when we don't pay attention to our energetic bodies and all the energy systems that we have, our physical bodies will keep working, but may not work to their highest potential. And in particular, when we're dealing with fighting any sort of illness, right? Doesn't matter what that is. Our immune systems are sluggish. Our immune systems need to be really strong to fight any sort of illness that we're dealing with. So what I do is I talk about how we can strengthen our energetic systems in our bodies, so that our physical bodies can work to their potential. And also when we're taking any sort of medications, or for those who are in this world through battling cancer of any sort, when you're taking medications, it's helping your body metabolize them better. It's helping your body utilize them better. It's helping your pain levels, okay? There's a lot of protocols. There's a whole weekend that we talk about how to work with cancer from an energetic perspective. So Wendy reached out to me to say, would you be willing to participate in our wellness and program? There's somebody else, and I'll let them in. And I said, yeah, you know, because I already have worked with multiple women going through treatment. No men yet, but I'm sure that's coming down the pike. And I've seen the results of them integrating energy medicine and the energy exercises into their wellness protocol, and how much it's helped them. It's helped them maintain their numbers. Their numbers haven't gotten worse. It's helped the pain dissipate quite a bit. And it's helped them live a little bit more in a thriving modality versus just survival. So I'm sure either one of them would be happy to, they also are members or participants, so they have participated in the Cancer Caring Center, would be happy to talk with you if you ever want to talk with them about their experiences of the hands-on work that I do. I also do some virtual work with folks too. So today what I wanted to do, since we also have new members, hello, how are you?
Hi.
You're back. Thank you for showing up. Tell me your first name again.
Chris.
Chris. Yeah, because you're showing up as a different name.
Yeah, that's my mom's computer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember that. So welcome back, Chris. We have Amanda and Nicole with us as well. They are new for the first time.
Hi, Chris.
Just giving them the overview of what I do and why I do it. So I've done some sessions on, I think our first session was on grounding. I want to kind of review today what we've done. We did some stuff on grounding, why grounding is important. And that's recorded. I think you can access that. We've done some work on the spleen and improving the immune system and helping the immune system. And we've done the daily energy routine. That's probably the one you all watched. So Donna Eden, who created Eden Energy Medicine, she was very ill. The reason that this even started is she was diagnosed with MS in her late teens, and then had 2 children. She ended up having cancer and a heart attack before she was 35. So she decided, I don't want to be ill the rest of my life, and I have to survive and parent my children. She ended up divorcing at some point along the line. But she was already in the energy world, and she started studying touch for health, which touch for health is a modality that kind of evolved in the 70s, and they used the base of traditional Chinese medicine, working with the meridians. The meridians are energy pathways that move up and down the body and are connected to organs or organ systems. And she really worked with her own body for a long time and got well. And she's 78. She has had, you know, your normal health issues throughout her life, right? But she doesn't have cancer. She doesn't have MS. It doesn't show up on any test. And partly, I think that has to do with that she worked a lot with her own body and got her energy systems balanced so that her body could shift into wellness. So anyway, you can read about her. You can read about her online. You can get her book. Everything is an open book with that. And the reason I was drawn to Eden Energy Medicine is because of the integrity of it, and how open they are. There's it's a lot of free stuff on their website, a lot of free stuff on Facebook. So feel free to investigate that on your own. But one of the things that she noticed as she was working with herself and others who particularly had cancer is that a lot of primary energy systems are really weak and out of balance, especially with those who have some particular illnesses such as cancer. So the one that was, we've talked about in these sessions is, if you have not muted yourself, go ahead and do that so we don't hear your background noise, please. Thank you. Was the spleen. We've already talked about that. So the spleen energy, the spleen is an organ in our body that helps with our immune system. So keeping the spleen really, really strong is important for our bodies to work efficiently to fight off illness. But when we have that weak, it's not able to do its job to its fullest potential. What weakens the spleen in a lot of energy systems, and all doctors will tell you this, no matter where they come from, is stress, right? So we all know that stress is a huge component in all illness. So in the model that I work with, another meridian, another energy pathway that's connected to the adrenal gland system is called the triple warmer. Don't ask me why they call it that, but the Chinese came up with that name. And the triple warmer is all about that fight or flight response in the body. And that is a system that all of us have to deal with every single day. And I'm speaking for myself, particularly today and this week. It's been my triple warmer has been on fire. It's been really high this week. And I've been having a lot of emotions and a lot of fear about a lot of things and a lot of stuff. So when we have that gets triggered, when that fight or flight system goes on, it's like turning the volume up. So the button gets pushed and the volume goes to 10 or higher. So you might have a heart racing. You might just have this fear running through your body. You might feel panicky, right? You might feel like you're going to get a panic attack. And sometimes that stress system is operating all the time at a level 5, we'll say, out of 0 to 10. And so it doesn't take much to get it to 10, because when just living everyday life is stressful, right? Getting up, going to work, driving through floods, dealing with COVID over the last 18 months, all of these things that are out of our control also contribute to our stress. So, working with our body's energy systems to get them in balance is something we do have control over. And that's why I love this work so much, because we get to talk with our bodies. We get to understand what's happening in them, and we get to help them rebalance, readjust, and feel better. So we worked with grounding. We talked about the spleen. We talked about the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is a muscle, some of you may already know this, that goes along the rib cage, underneath the rib cage, and it's really integral in our breath, and allowing us to breathe. If our diaphragm, if children are born, and there are some unfortunately that are born without a diaphragm or with a dysfunctional diaphragm, they either don't live or they have to have surgery right away, because if we don't have that muscle, that's the muscle that helps us breathe, right? What happens with trauma? And trauma can be anything. We're talking little T's, big T traumas. We all have them. Just being a human, we all have trauma in our life, okay? Some of us have more big T trauma than others. And what happens then is the system starts to happen where we develop something called complex post-traumatic stress, right? So if you have a lot of big T traumas, you have that. But what happens when you have a trauma, typically people go, and you hold your breath, right? You go, there's a shock response, there's a shock response, and then the diaphragm goes, and it kind of locks up. Okay. And then what happens is it's still working, but it's not working. It's not like, think of it as an accordion. It's not working at its full capacity. It's not really opening up and bringing breath into the body. And if we don't have full, deep, good breath, what's not happening in the body? Anybody want to say? What's limited in the body? Go ahead and put your mute back on or off.
Oxygen.
Right. We're not getting the full oxygen that we need. An oxygenated body, a fully oxygenated body, is a healthy body. So if we're not getting those full, deep breaths, we're not getting enough oxygen for it to go to the cells to help the cells work to their capacity to help disease not be there, right? So we worked with the diaphragm, and I will do that exercise with you all today because I think that's important. Then we're talking about the adrenal gland system, and I'm going to work on that today and show you some really simple exercises to calm down that fight or flight, to calm down that panic and that fear that we all have. I mean, you go to the doctor and you go, I don't know if any of you are going through chemo right now, and it's not fun, and so you have all these emotions. How can you calm your body down energetically to be more calm and in balance when it's getting this treatment? We have the aura. Aura is its own energy system. Who has anybody, just raise your hand if you've heard of that term before, the aura? No? Okay, so Amanda has. So the aura, we're born with it. It's kind of, I call it like the energetic human placenta. It's like a big bubble around us. It's our energetic protective bubble, just like the placenta, but it's energy. And so if you put your arms out, the aura, that energy goes to the tip of our finger. It's like a little protective shell. And that's, you have an aura, you have this energy. When someone comes too close to you, you're like, hey, back off. That doesn't feel right. They step into your energetic space. But what happens with this energetic bubble, this aura, this energy, is that it's like, I think of it as like a balloon in a way. It's pliable. It can move. It can be pushed in on. It can expand out. And sometimes it's like taking little pinpricks, stuff that happens during the day or stress or whatever. It's like putting little holes in this protective thing, this bubble. And then the air starts to leak out and it kind of goes, and so this protective bubble starts to compress. And now it's here. So we don't really have as much energy protection because it's collapsed on us. The other thing trauma does with the aura is it'll pull it away from us. So it's like tethered to us. It's like this, just like in the womb, we're tethered by the umbilical cord. This aura is tethered to us. And sometimes it can get detached because of trauma or stress. So simple ways to correct that, which is what's so amazing about this work, is we have ways to talk to. I know that may sound a little bit funny, but to strengthen that energetic system with simple movements. Okay, so energy, when you think about other types of energy, say electricity or sound waves, they all have a pattern, right? I don't know if any of you have studied any of this stuff. Electricity has a pattern, sound waves have a pattern. Well, this energy also, our body energy that surrounds us and in our body also has patterns of movement, and it likes to do crossover movements. And crossing over, like making this figure 8, this infinity sign, is a way to communicate with this auric energy, the energy of our aura, and strengthen it. It's like almost like, so if I do this motion, go try this, make a figure 8 with me. If I do this motion, it's almost like I'm sewing. If I have a needle and thread, it's like I'm sewing up the space that may have gotten some holes in it. So the auric energy gets strengthened when we just make these simple movements of these energetic symbols or communication, the way this energy moves. Just like sound waves, they can actually, they can actually see, put on paper what sound waves look like. So the aura is another thing that helps protect us both emotionally and physically. And then we talked about grounding, getting our feet connected to the earth. That was the first session we had here. Getting our feet connected to the earth and allowing our body to connect with that earth energy, that energy from the earth that we're meant to be connected to. Humans are animals, just like, we walk the earth just like the animals. We plant like the animal. I mean, we love to be in nature with the plants and stuff. When we get disconnected from that, which we have, because early on humans didn't wear shoes, right? We'd walked on the earth, and then we wore leather shoes that we made out of animal hide. So we were still being able to connect with that energy of the earth. But as soon as people made shoes that had rubber on the bottom, that rubber doesn't allow that electrical energy from the earth to be pulled into the body. So that's why we have rubber tires and other things. So it keeps that electrical stuff from happening. So it kind of keeps us disconnected from that earth electrical magnetic energy, the electrons that come into the body that help the body's balance and keep inflammation at bay. And so there's a lot of information about earthing or grounding. And one of my clients who came from the Cancer Caring Center, we talked about that when she first started. She's my biggest proponent of grounding because we talked a lot about that. She said the first thing she did was put on her shoes every day. And I could tell because the work that we do energetic testing. So I can energy test the body using muscles, energy muscle testing, and a few other modalities of testing energetically. And I could see that she wasn't grounded. And she had a lot of pain, in particular in her low back and her sacrum area. So we talked about grounding. We talked about taking her shoes off. We talked about walking barefoot. We talked about using some things, this thing called the ground and earthing mat, which you can find online, and why it works and how it works, and just to do the experiment, because I did it for myself and it helped my inflammatory marker big time, pulled the inflammation down. So she did. She committed to doing it. When, being second round cancer, you kind of go all out, right? You're like, I'm going to do whatever, I'll try it. It's not going to hurt me. So she did. And lo and behold, the next time I saw her, her back pain was gone. She said, I don't have any back pain anymore. And I'm really surprised. I'm like, well, part of that was that your body wasn't getting the nutrients, just like plants need the nutrients from the earth. We need the nutrients from the earth. We need that energy from the earth. She started walking more too. She was also changing her diet. So there's other things that she did. It wasn't necessarily only this, but this kind of took it to the top, right? It took it to over, and then she was able to start to feel better. She still swears by that because it still helps her inflammation markers. Her inflammation markers have stayed significantly lower than they ever have been. So I want to remind people about that, about earthing, about grounding, about connecting to the earth. Any questions so far before I keep going about that, about the aura or about grounding, why it's important? Not yet? Okay. So I want to go back to the diaphragm, because these are all the things that Donna noticed that we need to work with energetically. There's so much, right? There's so many things to work with, but these are kind of the primary ones when we're working with wellness from disease. So getting oxygen, better, deeper oxygen into the body is going to be important. So the way that we work with the diaphragm, and I'm just going to assume that we all need this because I do sometimes too. I'm going to stand up to show you. So the diaphragm, like I said, is this muscle underneath here, right? So sometimes, like I said, it gets stuck. It's just not functioning to its full capacity. So the way to free the diaphragm, we call it freeing the diaphragm, is to take your hand and put it right underneath her. You're welcome to join me in doing this exercise. Okay, just going to move this back a little bit. There we go. Oh, Amanda might have logged out for a second. There we go. Okay, so you're gonna put your hand here. So it's like with your part of your thumb right there at the top, right underneath your sternum, at the bottom of the rib cage. And you're gonna place the other hand over it, okay? I'm gonna push this camera down. You won't see my face, you'll just see my hands for a second. So you're gonna have both hands like this and your elbows against your side. So this is called the diaphragm, freeing the diaphragm exercise. So feel free to join me. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale as much as we can, allow that rib cage to expand. Because the other thing that happens is a lot of times, and I just worked with someone the other day, and this was what was happening with her, we get into this dysfunctional breath pattern where instead of when we inhale, our belly should fill up like this, like a balloon, and we exhale, the belly should contract. Well, she was doing the opposite. She was inhaling The belly was going like that, and exhaling, the belly was expanding. So that's not functional breathing, because what you want to do is bring the air in like you're filling up the balloon. Bring as much air as you can. And then when you expel the air, you're pulling the navel to spine, and you're pushing out all that carbon dioxide and all the stuff your body doesn't need, right? So first, we got to make sure that we're breathing functionally. So if that's something you struggle with, pay attention to that. So we're going to put our hands here, elbows against our rib cage, and we're going to inhale, allowing that rib cage to expand. We're going to hold our breath while we push the belly against our hands and our hands against the belly. So it's going to look like this. Just watch me first. So we're going to go, and then I'm pushing, and my elbows are crunching against my sides, not super tight, but enough where I'm pushing out and pushing in at the same time, pushing my belly out and my hands in at the same time. And you release. It's one of those exercises you may have done with PTs in the past, where sometimes they'll do it with your leg. They hold your leg up and they're like, you push against me while I push against you. It's a release of the muscle. That's why you do that. I can't remember the technical term that PT physical therapists use, but I've done it a lot with my hands and my legs, where they're pushing and I'm pushing at the same time. Same thing for the diaphragm. It's a muscle, so we have to use that same technique. So I'm going to do it one more time so you get a chance to see how it feels again. So your elbows are against your body. We're going to inhale, push the belly against the hands against the belly, hold for as long as you can, and then release your breath. So ready? And then release. And really pull that belly button in. So once we do that, that diaphragm then is released to expand more. So the muscle, gets constricted and it needs to expand. So let's just take some normal deep breath. Hold it as much as you can to expand that rib cage, and then. So doing that even almost every day sometimes is helpful, especially if it's a pattern. If it's something that you notice about yourself, if you have a hard time really getting breath. If you're dealing with any type of cancer that's related to the lungs, that is really important too, to be able to bring that breath in, get that energy and that breath and that oxygen up there. So freeing the diaphragm is a pretty simple exercise. Did anyone find that to be difficult? No? Okay. So that's a really simple exercise to allow that muscle to open up and bring more breath. So what I want to do now that we did that is I just want to focus on some breath work for a few minutes. We did this, I think, last time a little bit too. So just place your hand on your belly, maybe both hands if you want, whatever, and another hand maybe on your chest. And we're just going to take some long, deep breaths. Inhaling through the nose, allowing that belly to expand, and exhaling through the nose or the mouth. It doesn't matter, whatever works for you. So inhale. And hold for just a second, and then exhale. I actually like to exhale through the mouth and sometimes make sort of a sigh just to let out all that energy. Inhale. And then pull that belly button in. Just focus on that. I'm going to stop talking for a few more breaths. At your own pace. If you're having a hard time on the inhale, don't worry. Your body just has to practice this. Do as much as you can at your own pace. And then really check in with your body. This is a lot of this energy work is all about body awareness as well. What's happening in our bodies? Where are we holding a lot of tension? Where are we holding emotions? And I'll just speak from my own experience. The body is very intelligent, right? And the body, mind, and spirit are always connected. So when I'm having a really strong emotion, whether it be anger, fear, sadness, it'll show up in my body. And it shows up in all of our bodies. So body awareness is about where am I holding that in certain emotions, right? Typically for me, and this is just me, I will have pain in an area of my body that's just not, just shows up. Sometimes it can be from maybe an injury, but normally if it's not, I'm like, okay, well, that's emotional. So I just want to bring that to your awareness because we hold a lot of emotions in the body. It's okay to be in touch with where that is and be in tune with that and allow them to be released. Because when they can be released, the body feels better. I experienced that just this morning. Like I was saying earlier, been holding on to a lot of fear, a lot of sadness, a lot of anger. And once I was able to release that with tears, of course, my body feels better, Once I was able to identify, oh, I'm holding something. It was in my hip area and in the back of my head. I know now, after doing years of body awareness of where I hold emotions, is that if I have pain in the back of my head, it's typically anger. So everybody's body is different, right? But I just want to encourage you, like you can stop, you can breathe and do that body scan. So even from the top of the head, bring that breath up the body, and then maybe imagine as you're scanning the body, keeping your eyes closed, where and allowing this energy to kind of come down through your exhale. Is there any space of tightness or tension? Do you have a particular chronic pain somewhere? And if you do, just go there and just say, what's this about? And the body eventually will let you know. But it takes some time and it takes some openness to be willing to listen. Our bodies will give us a lot of information when we listen. So now we know how to do that diaphragmatic breath, that release of the diaphragm. Focusing on some deep diaphragmatic belly breathing helps the body calm down. So what we want to do is get our bodies in a state of more relaxation and calm, especially when we're going through any sort of treatment of anything for any illness. Because if we're all like this and we're all tense, the body's not going to be able to utilize as well the things that it needs to get well, whether it's medicine, whether it's exercise, whatever it is, food. So we want to work on bringing the breath in, calming the body down. So I even want you to work with me on that. I want you to take your hands and kind of put them by your side, and I want you to inhale them up. Then when they get to here on your exhale, it's like you're going to push down almost a French coffee press. You're going to go shh, make the SH sound. Shh. You're kind of releasing that stress. I'm going to do it a few more times. You're going to inhale up. And with your breath, like we're putting it back in the earth where it belongs. Inhale up. Bring that good oxygen into the body, and we're going to anything our body doesn't need right now, we're putting into the earth where it can be recycled energetically. So that's a really simple technique. When you feel triggered, when you feel upset or feel like a wave of panic, just calm it down that way. Okay, so we're working with breath. We're working with the diaphragm. So much we can do. Another exercise I want to review here. I know I've done it before, but obviously we have some new people here, so I want to teach as much as I can today. It's called, we talked about the triple warmer that's connected to the adrenal gland and that fight or flight system. I want to teach you a really, really simple exercise to calm that down, similar to what we just did. But I said before that these energy pathways move up and down the body. They're called meridians. They're like little rivers of energy. Think about them as like, we have veins and arteries. Well, these are energetic pathways. They're energy rivers that go up and down the body. Some researchers are talking about how they think that those energy pathways actually live physically in the fascia system. And the fascia is the connective tissue of the body. It connects everything together. And that makes sense to me, honestly. If you ever seen a picture of the fascial system of the body, look it up online. It's like little strings of fascia moving all throughout the body. It's connective tissue. So anyway, this exercise, it's called the triple warmer smoothie. Okay, so what it does is it's working, we can bring energy into a system, we can bring energy out of a system. That triple warmer energy, when it's over energy, when it's like this and you're getting triggered, too much energy in that system. So we want to calm it down. We want to sedate that energetic system. So there's many, many ways to do that. And I'm going to teach you two today. Well, actually three, because this was one. The next one is called the triple warmer smoothie. So we're going to rub our hands together and we're going to place our thumbs on our temples and our fingers on our forehead. So when we're holding this particular pose, this is a really, really great way to communicate energetically with the body, because we're holding our thumbs here at the temples, which is the end point of this energy pathway for the adrenal system. But when we put our hands on the forehead, we're connecting now with a system called the neurovascular system. And it's exactly what it means. Okay, it's the blood system that brings the blood to the brain, neurovascular, right? So we're holding our fingers on our forehead on the area that we call the main neurovasculars. When people are stressed, you might have seen people just put their hands to their head like this and hold their heads in their hands, especially like maybe after a car accident or something. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. This is also called the oh my gosh or oh my God hold. Like people go, oh my goodness. Oh. Well, what they're doing, and they don't know it, is they're communicating with their neurovascular system. When you put your fingers on your frontal lobe here on the front of your forehead, you're giving the message to the body, which this is why this work is so fascinating, that we can talk to our bodies like this. You're giving the body the message, to calm down, because what happens when we get triggered is blood rushes from the forebrain, from the brain and here, and it goes down into the internal organs because the body senses it's in danger. It doesn't matter what kind of danger it could be. It could be physical, emotional, whatever. But the body responds the exact same way. So the blood rushes down to protect the internal system, all the internal organs, to make sure we stay alive. Hence, there's less blood up in the forebrain, which is why they say after big traumas or big stresses or griefs or losses, don't make any big decisions, because the brain has to get back into its thinking capacity. So we're holding the thumbs on this point of the triple warmer meridian. We're holding our fingers on the main neurovasculars. Automatically, as we breathe, this calms us down. But now we're going to add a movement to this. Okay, so you can just do this when you feel triggered. That's fine. And the way to calm down the whole system of the adrenal gland system when it starts to get into fight or flight is start here. We're going to take a breath and let it out. And you take another breath and let it out. And now you're going to take your hands and slide them over your ears. Your thumb's going to go behind your ears. Your hands follow. So you're kind of making a little movement. Your hands are coming behind your neck, down the neck, and you're going to just hold on to the side of your neck for a little bit. On the side of the neck is another area of the body. It's called the vagus nerve. If anybody's heard of the vagus nerve, it's a huge nerve in the body that is really related to stress and trauma. And when it gets activated, it also creates that fight or flight system. So we're holding that. We're going to cross our hands over our neck. You're going to grab onto your upper shoulders. And now you're just holding your shoulders for a breath. You're going to then slide your hands down all the way off each other and place them right on your chest, right below your collarbones. And you're going to take a breath. Now you can end here. Some people do. Or you can take your hands, which is what I like to do. This is the way I teach it to my clients. And you're going to make a little heart. So you're going to come up, make a heart around your chest, down to below your belly button. And when you get to below your belly button, between your belly button and your pubic bone, you're going to grab onto your ring finger and you're going to just squeeze it. One ring finger, you're just going to squeeze it, like pulse it a little bit. Why are we doing that? Because the beginning of this energy pathway for the adrenal gland system is at the end of the ring finger. So we're communicating with that system by just squeezing it and saying, it's okay to calm down. Then you're going to switch and do the other hand, just squeeze the other finger. Just a little pulses, a few pulses. And then you're going to shake it out. So that's called the triple warmer smoothie. And I teach this to not just my energy clients, but I'm also a clinical social worker. And so I see clients for inpatient or outpatient therapy, sorry. So I teach them some of these to help them. Most of the people I work with, both in the energy and with my energy work and in the therapy work, all have trauma. So these are techniques that work for anybody. So triple warmer smoothie. Let's do it one more time because I think the body needs repetition to remember how to do things. So we're going to put our thumbs on our temples, our fingers on our forehead. Take a breath. Maybe even make that ah sound, letting out any excess stress. And again. And then you're going to slide your hands with your thumbs first behind your ears all the way down, real slow. The body likes this. This triple warmer needs it to be slow to get the message. It's okay to calm down. You get to the neck, you just take a breath. You cross your hands over. When you're doing this, it's almost like giving yourself a little mini hug. And then you're going to slide your hands down all the way off each other, landing on the heart center, right below the collarbones. Take another breath. Make that heart around the chest to down below the belly button, grabbing onto that fourth finger, kind of pulsing it, squeezing it. And then the other side. Usually after I do this with people, I ask them, what are you noticing now? So I'm going to ask that to you because people tend to notice a shift. So anyone want to say what you're noticing now? You can take yourself off mute. You notice any difference in how you feel? Chris?
I think calmer.
More calm?
Yeah.
Nicole, you shaking your head, you agree with that?
I do. I almost feel like I could just, like, my whole body is much more relaxed.
Yeah, feel like you could take a nap.
Yeah.
What about you, Amanda? Did you notice any shifts?
I have a headache today and feels a little better after doing that. Like I feel less tension in my face. Raw.
Good. So it really does. It's a very quick exercise. I mean, you do it slow, but it has an immediate effect, you know? So I want to teach a couple other things. Since you have a headache, this is also I wanted to ask, is there any other things going on? One thing that helps headaches, there's a couple things that helps headaches, but the first one is we're going to do, and this is on that first video you might have watched, that crown pull. You're going to put your fingers here and you're going to pull open. Sometimes and you're going to use your fingers like you're taking a shower, and you're going to really kind of, gently rub all along the top of the crown, the sutures, and you're going to pull down as if you're opening up your scalp, And energy needs space to move. So sometimes headaches have to have something to do with holding too much energy in the head. So you're going to go all the way across and all the way in the back. I love this exercise. I always feel more relaxed. And then you're going to go down the neck too, kind of pushing in and pulling open. And when you get down to the bottom of the neck, you're going to hold on to your shoulders, take a breath, and then let it out. And kind of pull with a little bit of force, not force, but pressure, and then pull that tension from the shoulders and land over the heart and take another breath. So that's called the crown pull. It's working with all of what we talked about, the neurovasculars on the head, but it also, we test hormones in the body. So we have the pineal gland, the, liver, pineal, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland. And those are all part of our metabolic system. They're all hormone related. And so when we're working with the head, we're really also working with balancing those systems out. So the crown pull is really good for headaches. The other thing that helps a lot is at the back of the skull, so just trace back, there's a little soft spot right there. That's called the power point. It's like a button on the computer. And you can just rub that. And then if you take both hands and you're in that spot and you slide down to right underneath the skull, right here, kind of makes a little triangle. So the power point's higher up, then you slide down. There's these two little indentation spots underneath the occipital ridge. You feel those? Shake your head. Those are called the electrics, okay? So you can rub them. When I have a headache, I rub these points a lot. So the electrics are also related to the electrical system of the body, right? And the heart is, the primary electrical system of the body, right? And the brain also as well. So the electrics are really nice to rub when you have a headache. An easy way to do that, because it's kind of hard to do it when you're, sitting and you're holding your arms out. The way I do it sometimes is I lay on my belly on the ground and I can reach back and do it, or I lay on my back on the ground and I can reach back. And that way my arms can rest, right? So, but just rubbing the electrics and the power point every day will really help, because the electrics, if they are weak or off, unbalanced, it's like the computer button's not on, right? So when I feel really tired, and especially when you're going through treatment for cancer, the electrics get really out of whack. So right before you go for treatment, if you're still in treatment, and even if you're not, do it, rub the electrics, just rub them, okay? And then the last thing for headaches, since we're talking about headaches, is there's a spot in between the pointer and the thumb. It's that little web right there. And that's been, that's kind of tender on me. If you push in on that, that is a large intestine point on the meridian. But in acupressure and acupuncture, I work with acupressure. I don't use needles like acupuncturists do, but the meridians, these pathways that I was talking about, one of the 9 energy systems, acupuncturists work with. So that little spot is a spot to rub, and sometimes it's tender, especially if you have head pain. So I remember learning that even in grade school or high school. Oh, you have a headache? Rub here. No one knew why. It was just like this urban thing that went around, but it's actually real, right? There's reality to why it works. So there's lots of little ways and big ways that we can communicate with our body. We can bring calm energy to our body. We can balance our energy systems. We can strengthen our energy systems, especially like the system of the spleen for our immune system. And I just think it's amazing that we have these tools. I longed for and prayed for years to find something I was passionate about. And I found this work, and I'm so passionate about it because I used it for myself. I found it for myself. But now that I'm, spent many, many years and many, many dollars training, I can now share this gift with you all and with the world. And my clients as a way for them to be empowered to help themselves. And that's what I'm about. You all know what it's like. You're being treated by all these different people, and it feels like you're kind of out of control sometimes. You don't have a lot of power, You're following this doctor's order and that doctor's orders. But what I love about energy medicine is that this is about you and you learning about your body and you bringing that sense of calm and peace to your own body. You are in charge now. You're in charge of your body. And that is such an empowering and freeing thing. When I can bring peace and calm to my own body, when I can balance my energies, when I can get rid of the headache just by rubbing points on my body. This system that I work with, this Eden Energy Medicine, is very deep and very broad. So there's multiple ways to work with a particular issue. So my goal in these sessions is just to offer you some tools that you can take home, that you can use, that you can integrate into your holistic wellness world, your life, so that you feel empowered to feel better, even if it's just for a few minutes, So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer a few questions now. You can always reach out to me on email as well. That might be in their thing. If I can put it in the chat, I will do that right now. Put my email in here. And if you want to talk to me, you can. If you want to ever experience a hands-on session, I'm happy to talk with you about that too. And to me, it's just like this. It's a very interactive, it's a partnership. Yes, I'm putting my hands on you and I'm doing some of my energy work on you, but it's a partnership. That's how I work. It's not like many of you have probably heard of Reiki or some other energy healing modalities. And a lot of those are wonderful, in and of themselves, but usually it's someone, you go in, someone does their thing and you leave, right? This is not that way. This is really a partnership where we're working together and you're learning what you can do for your body so that when you leave a session, you're building your toolbox. You're building your toolbox for how you can maintain some of these changes, how you can maintain this energy balancing. So that video you watched that showed you all the exercises, that's called the daily energy routine. And that's what I encourage people to start with. You can watch that video again. You can get on YouTube and watch it. Just type in daily energy routine. Many of my mentors, teachers, and colleagues are on YouTube with lots of free stuff. So I encourage you to just, ask questions, learn what you want. If it excites you, if you have more that you want to learn, come back next month or reach out to me. Any questions before we end? No, Nicole, nothing? Thanks for coming. Chris, any questions? Comments?
No questions, but I think it does help feel, more relaxed for sure.
Okay, good. Good. Well, that's what we're looking for. Amanda, any comments, questions? Okay. Well, if you do come up with something, because sometimes stuff percolates and it comes out, oh yeah, I have a question about this. You have my email now, so reach out, and I hope to see you next month. It's always the first Wednesday of the month. And have a great day. Enjoy the rainy day we have.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for showing up on a rainy Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.